Hello, and welcome to the SSODharmiks podcast. I'm Sonal Jain, and joining me are Tejas and Sanjit Prasanna. Today, we will discuss geological changes in the Indian subcontinent and their impacts in the past and present. So, have you guys heard that the Himalayan mountain range is still growing today, even if it is very slow?
Yeah, you know that the Himalayas are the third largest deposit of ice and snow in the world. That's a lot of minerals.
Along with that, the Himalayas really helped India and outside civilizations prosper and flourish. Guys, you know, the Indus River Valley civilization was one of the first societies in the world, and the reason it existed was because of geological changes.
So you guys know exactly what a geological change is?
Yeah, a geological change is a movement or difference in land that has lasting effects in the future.
Can you tell me what are some changes geologically that occurred in the past?
A really important geological change, which you mentioned before, was the collision of the Indian subcontinent of the Eurasian plate. A book named The Ocean of Churn specifically states, the Indian plate continues to push into Asia and the Himalayas are still rising by about 5 millimeters every year. Because of this impact, the Himalayan mountain range formed.
Wow, I didn't know that they were still growing. Sanjit, could you explain what happened because of this?
Yes, Somil, of course. Because of the formation of the Himalayan mountain range, the Indian subcontinent has influenced weather patterns. The surrounding habitats have become more diverse and accommodate different life forms, and the melting glaciers have become an important source of fresh water for India and its surrounding regions.
Sanjit, could you elaborate a little bit more about how this impacts a civilization?
Sure, I would be happy to tell you more. The Himalayas expanding led to the creation of the Indus Valley Civilization, which is one of the oldest civilizations in the world. Did you guys know this? Anyway, this couldn't have happened without the formation of the Himalayas. The tectonic plates collision also introduced many seismic activities such as earthquakes, landslide, and avalanches. This affected human settlements and their infrastructure.
But I'm pretty sure that the Himalayas still have an impact today, right, Tejas and Sanjit? While they pose risks like earthquakes and landslides, they still have benefits such as supplying major rivers, hosting diverse ecosystems, and also they boost tourism, culture, and local economies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's completely true. I agree.
Would you like to know another really important change that happened? Somil, do you know why the Deccan Traps were formed?
Yeah, the Deccan Traps were formed because of volcanic activity nearly 66 million years ago.
That's pretty cool, but what exactly are these Deccan Traps, Ojas? Do you know?
It's a huge, rugged plateau that formed when molten lava solidified and turned into rock.
Okay, but how did this actually impact civilization?
Well, Sanjay, it caused disruptions in the environment which affected resource and agricultural availability. It also altered the weather, which made it difficult for people to farm and get water because of the fact that they actually relied on stable weather to do that.
Wow, I never thought of that. Is there anything else?
Yeah, just the Deccan Traps' geological features were seen as sacred by Indian civilizations. I believe they used volcanic rocks in religious buildings and incorporated them into rituals and festivals, believing these sites held divine power. These would be cool to see. Today, these landscapes remain important pilgrimage sites and continue to influence religious beliefs and practices in the region.
We can still see the leftovers of the Deccan Traps, a big volcanic area in India. They look like large flat areas of hardened lava, rocky formations, and bits of volcanoes across the Deccan Plateau region.
I've heard around that you can visit places like, I think it's called the Pavgad Hill in Gujarat, the Ajanta and Ellora caves in Maharashtra, and spots in the Western Ghats Mountains to see how the volcanoes left their mark.
Driving around the Deccan Plateau, especially in Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Telangana, you can see huge flat areas of hardened lava and rough landscapes shaped by the Deccan Traps.
I wish I could drive.
One more year. Anyway, as I was saying, all these places help us understand how the Deccan Traps changed the land, animals, plants, and stories of the Indian subcontinent long ago.
I guess I know where to go for my next summer vacation. Anyway, Somil, what are some of the man-made past events that affected the Indian subcontinent?
Well, Sanjay, have you heard about the colonization of the British? It had many harmful effects on the Indian civilization. The colonization cut off many Indian sites and took out a lot of knowledge with it. In addition, the British mined materials and took extensive resources from India.
I heard they also utilized deforestation to industrialize India. In this period, I think India went through a lot of major farming change. They utilized plantations to farm resources. This harmed the biodiversity and made the soil and erosion worse. This also made the crops more vulnerable to pests.
So even though industrialization may have helped the economy of India, it still damaged the environment.
Oh, so that's why even today we can see how the British rule changed the land in India. When I've been to India, I've seen places where forests were cut down for farming in cities, and they still show the effects of those decisions. I'm pretty sure pollution and damage from old mining sites are still a problem in some areas, sadly. These roads and railways built during that time changed how water flows and affected nature.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Same.
I think this is the time to conclude this episode. Shall we quickly summarize for our listeners all of the events that we talked today?
Absolutely, Solma. So, as we know, throughout history there have been many changes in India's geological landscapes, ecosystems, and diversity, resulting in a vast field of differences.
To expand on Sanjay's idea, from the start of the Indus River Valley civilization to the ongoing increment of the Himalayas, Indian geography is still developing, with there being more to come.
Well, thank you so much, Ojas and Sanjay. It's time to say goodbye to our listeners.
Bye guys. We'll see you in the next episode.